Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of our 11-part cinematic explainer series. Today, we're diving right into chapter 1 of Abridged's incredible book, A Soulful Transition, Finding a Heart-Led Career in the Age of AI. We are going to zoom right in on the actual biological reality of workplace burnout, and we're going to decode a phenomenon you are probably way too familiar with, the Sunday night dread. Seriously, if you've been feeling like you're just constantly running on a hamster wheel that's completely spinning out of control, you are in exactly the right place. Let's get into it.
I want you to really think about this for a second. It's sort of a modern corporate koan. If you finally reach inbox 0, but your soul feels like a desolate parking lot, are you actually productive? If you've, quote-unquote, arrived in your career, you've got the fancy title, the great salary, the glowing LinkedIn recommendations, but you still feel this deep, heavy exhaustion. I want to start our journey today with an offering of radical compassion. You aren't crazy. And you are definitely not broken. You've done literally everything right according to the script, and yet you feel totally trapped. So let's look at exactly why that is.
All right, let's get into section 1, the Sunday night dread. Let's talk about that super visceral feeling that almost always creeps up right around 4 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon. You know the one? It's that subtle hum in your belly, that tightening in your chest as you unconsciously start mentally armoring up for a battle that consists entirely of Outlook invites, Jira tickets, and really defensive emails. Take David, for example. He's a 42-year-old VP of product. At 4 p.m., he's physically at his daughter's Sunday basketball game. He's cheering, he's trying to be a normal, present human being. But by 4:15, his mind entirely drifts to a vague comment his CEO made on Friday about doing more with less. By 4:30, his brain is just running 100 miles an hour, simulating the absolute horrors of a Tuesday quarterly business review. He's spiraling, wondering, does less mean budget cuts, layoffs? How am I going to pay the mortgage? And by 5 p.m., the game is ending and David's cortisol levels have completely spiked. He's irritable. He is physically hijacked, preparing to fight a threat that literally isn't even in the room with him.
Which brings us to section 2, the algorithm of anxiety.
Okay, so to understand exactly why David's brain, and honestly your brain too, acts this way, we've got to look under the hood of our own evolution. We need to see why a vague little comment from a CEO about efficiency can entirely ruin a perfectly peaceful weekend afternoon. As the neuroscientist Rick Hanson explains in his book, Buddha's Brain, our ancestors absolutely did not survive by sitting around admiring sunsets and feeling chill. No, they survived by noticing the tiger hiding in the bushes. And what that means is your brain is biologically hardwired for paranoia. It has a built-in negativity bias. It acts as Velcro for negative experiences and Teflon for positive ones. Out in the wild, that is a brilliant survival feature. But in the modern corporate world, that feature becomes a deeply exhausting bug.
Part of this biological bug involves what Hansen calls the simulator. Think of it as this crazy virtual reality arcade built right into your prefrontal cortex, and it is constantly running what-if horror movies just to keep you safe. When David hears do more with less, his simulator immediately boots up a horror movie called The Crash of the Tuesday QBR. And here's the real tragedy. Your brain's alarm center, the amygdala, literally cannot tell the difference between a simulated threat and a real one.
And this whole process perfectly maps out the exact algorithm of anxiety that just totally hijacks us. It starts with step 1, the uncertainty trigger. Maybe it's a weird look from your boss or a vague email. Then step 2, the simulator kicks in, instantly assuming the absolute worst-case scenario. That leads to step 3, the amygdala hijack, flooding your body with adrenaline and cortisol, literally prepping your biology to fight off a wolf. But the problem is you can't punch a spreadsheet. You can't outrun an email. So all that trapped survival energy leads straight to step 4, processing mode. This is where we self-medicate our anxiety with frantic, endless busyness just to feel like we have some sense of control again.
Moving on to section 3, the processing trap.
Now, all this internal anxiety is hugely compounded by our actual work environments. We aren't just battling our own ancient biology, we are completely trapped in a modern state of collaborative overload. Get this, Harvard Business Review data shows that knowledge workers now spend an astounding 80% of their time just communicating about work. We're talking endless meetings, overflowing emails, constant Slack pings. That leaves a tiny little 20% sliver of time to actually do the work. We are frantically trying to communicate, leaving almost zero quiet space or silence for deep, focused output.
In Buddhist psychology, there's this really interesting concept called dukkha. It basically translates to a deep unsatisfactoriness or stress. It's the feeling of a wheel that is slightly off-center, grinding away with every single rotation. Well, collaborative overload creates what we can call modern dukkha. It is the very real sensation of expending massive caloric energy on a corporate hamster wheel from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., but somehow feeling totally empty and like you're going absolutely nowhere. It's the chronic, low-grade trauma of forcing our biological brains to try and keep up with digital speed.
And how do we usually try to fix this? Well, we try to become better robots, right? We memorize all the keyboard shortcuts, we try to wake up at 4:30 in the morning, we read endless productivity hacks. But here is the absolute cosmic joke. The robots are already here. Think about it. If your primary survival strategy is just to process information faster and more accurately than everyone else, you are running a race against generative AI that you will inevitably fundamentally lose. No question.
This leads us to Section 4, the pivot to presencing.
So if you want to actually survive and thrive in this new landscape, you have to literally stop trying to be a better robot. We've got to shift gears completely and change your brain's operating system to leverage the human advantage. This is the pivot from processing to presencing. Let's compare the two. Processing mode is driven by your sympathetic nervous system. It has a super narrow, reactive focus that frantically puts out fires. It's the part of you answering emails at 11 p.m. out of pure fear. That is the exact domain where AI thrives: logic, speed, and data sorting. But on the flip side, we have presencing mode. This taps into your parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest system. It has a wide focus, it can sense the whole system, and actually hold space for complexity. This is what creates the genuine empathy and intuition that AI entirely lacks.
Let's jump back to David and that dreaded Tuesday QBR and see how this actually plays out in reality. If David stays in processing mode, he interrupts, he fights with data, and he just skyrockets the room's cortisol. But if he shifts into presencing, watch what happens. First, he catches the urge to fight. He takes a 3-second somatic micropause, which is barely even noticeable to anyone else. He drops his awareness into his feet and his breath, physically signaling his brain that he's safe. From there, he actually senses the room's fearful energy instead of just hearing the aggressive words. And then, he asks a powerful question that shifts the whole team from blame over to creativity. He literally co-regulates the nervous systems of every single person in that room.
Honestly, the secret of this entire book is captured right here. Your absolute best career insurance, it's your soul. The more deeply human and frankly spiritual you become, the more employable you become. Why is that? Because you are engaging mirror neurons. These are highly specialized cells in our brain that allow us to deeply, truly resonate with another person's pain or joy or fear. AI is just a text-generating machine. It has no heart. It cannot engage mirror neurons. It cannot sense that a client is secretly terrified across the table. But you, only you can do that.
And finally, Section 5, the Monday morning reset.
All right, let's take all this fascinating biological theory and turn it into highly actionable practice. I want to give you real tools so you don't just survive, but absolutely master your immediate Monday morning. Tonight, I want you to try an energy audit. Draw a line right down a piece of paper. On one side, list the drain. That's the robot work. These are the reactive processing tasks like formatting slide decks or getting into defensive email battles with legal. This is the work AI is going to replace soon anyway. Now, on the other side, map out the spark, the human work. Things like mentoring a junior colleague, solving a really messy problem on a whiteboard, or just having a good laugh with a client. If it's a drain task, your goal is to automate or delegate it. If it's a spark task, well, that's your future. That is exactly where you need to double down.
Then, before you even crack open your laptop on Monday morning, before that very first Slack ping even hits, try this 3 breaths reset. Step 1, inhale for a count of 4 just to gather your scattered energy. Step 2, hold that breath for 4. And step 3, exhale really slowly for a count of 8. That long, slow exhale is the magic key here. It physically triggers your vagus nerve, telling your heart to actually slow down. You're manually overriding your fight or flight system, gently reminding your amygdala, hey, thanks for trying to protect me, but there are no tigers here, only emails.
So as we wrap up episode 1 of this explainer series, I want to leave you with one final, pretty provocative question to chew on regarding the true trajectory of your career. Are you ready to resign from being a robot and finally apply for the job of being human? Think about where you're really spending your caloric energy this week. Join us next time for episode 2, where we are going to continue this incredible journey into finding your heart-led career. Until then, remember to take that 3-second pause.